demo, I'm going to go over entering data into Dedoose and importing your descriptor data into Dedoose. So first off, I'm already on the MadMin demo here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to descriptors. Descriptors in Dedoose is really just your quantitative variables that you would put into SPSS. Age, race, sex, gender, all of those things. You can essentially add data one or two ways. You can hand enter it the same way you would, say, SPSS, or you could export it in via an Excel file. So first I'm going to go over how you would hand enter it. So first you would come up here to descriptor sets and you would create a new set. I'm going to call this the MadMin set. I'm going to hit submit. And then automatically whichever field is highlighted here will be what set fields it's talking about. So for the MadMin set, the set fields, which is another word for variables, I'm going to add in ID. And then ID is going to be, I'm going to make it a text because I ID'd all my participants as participant 001, participant 002, and etc. And then you hit submit and it comes up right here. I'm going to add another set field. This one I'm going to have it be gender. This time it's going to be a list. And down here you're going to put your values. So for gender, you can be male or you can be female. Then you hit submit. And then you have gender. I'm going to add another one. It's going to be age. Here you can use a number if your data has, 25, 28, 42, 43, you can use a number. But in Dedoose, the more variables that you have as a list variable, it's better because the graphics and the diagrams perform better on list data than they do on just numerical data. So it's best you can make it a number and Dedoose will filter for you and will create its own ranges, say 18 to 21, 22 to 24. You can do that by making it a list variable and then you choosing the age ranges, or you can just keep it in a number variable and then let Dedoose do the filtering for you. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and do it as a number. And then as these, you can keep adding these in. Once you have all your variables set in here, you can come over here and you can actually add your data. So for participant 001 was a male and he was 25. And then you would add another one for participant 002 was a female and she was 29. And then this would go on through all of your data. The more variables or set fields you have over here, the more of these you're going to have to select. This is one way to hand enter it into Dedoose, but in my opinion, it's easier to import it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, this little blue button where it says edit, and I'm just going to delete this whole set because then I'm going to show you how you can import it. Go ahead, hit yes. I'll wait for it to delete. All right, now we're back to having nothing. So when you import data, you actually have to import 2 Excel files. I'm going to show you the 2 Excel files first. The first one is just the import file, and literally it needs to have 4 heading columns: a descriptor name, a memo, a descriptor type, and list data. So here in your descriptor name is going to be all your variable names. And these names need to match exactly to your second file, column 1, which are all of your descriptor names: ID, sex, age, Q1, all the way through Q24. As you see over here, it says ID, sex, age, Q1, all the way to 24. It is important that this match the same as this. Your second column is a memo. Memo is not required, but the great thing about memo is for this inventory, for this instrument, question 1, I really don't know what the difference between question 1 and say question 10 was. But if you put in the memo here, it'll show you that question 1 was no matter how much time or energy I put into losing weight, I feel I have no control over the outcome. So anytime you want to leave yourself a memo of what exactly that variable is measuring, you can add it there. It won't show in Dedoose, but what will happen is when you hover over Q1 in Dedoose, your memo will pop up to remind you what it means. For descriptor type is essentially your variable type. Again, you have date, time, text, number, or list. The more lists you have, the better. If you do make it a list variable, then you need to include the values of those list variables. For example, sex is a list variable and it's either male or female. For all of the questions, their choices were either 1 through 5. And it's very important that your data over here matches the exact same way you listed here. For example, if I just put F, 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 F for a female right here, it would not import. So it has to match almost perfectly. Character, such as capitalization and non-capitalization, doesn't matter, but the wording does matter. So once you have those two files, the first thing you'll do in Dedoose is you will actually come over here and you will import your set field. And this is, you're going to import your import file. So once you select it and click on it, you can have a view of this is everything that's coming in, ID, sex, age, Q1, all the way down through Q24. Make sure everything's there. Make sure all your types of variables, your lists, your values are all there. Once that's all good, you can go ahead and hit next. Now, we don't have a name, so it's going to ask you for a name. If you already had a data set, you could just attach it to that by selecting an existing, but we don't have one, so we're going to call it Madman Data, and we're going to import it to a new set. If we give it a minute, as we can see, all these set fields now populated for us over here in this column. So now we need to actually bring in our data, the stuff that really matters. So over here, under the descriptors inset, we're going to go ahead and import our file. So this time we're going to select the descriptors file. And what's going to happen is you're going to see a window pop up and it's going to show you everything that's in that file. And then down here you'll have an errors column. And what this is it will show you any type places that you're having errors, what's going on. So here it's showing that, you know, there's some not valid options. And what that is it's this missing data. A few of these are missing data. So here I could hit cancel and go back and fix it or enter that data. Or you can just answer it, you know, select submit if you think, you know, it's all good and you're just going to have to move forward and ignore those missing values. So once you select OK, there's your data. Now it's imported. And you can see now you can't check all the way to question 24 because this column here only lets you select up to 20 variables at a time. So in order to see all the way 15 through 24, you'll have to deselect some of these variables. So that's it for this, and I'm going to close this out in the next tutorial.